my name is Dr. Dominique Hansen. Today we're at the Falls of the Ohio State Park, and I'm going to give you guys a little introduction. I call it a brief history to coral reefs. So on this side, just to get you familiar with some of the tools that we're going to use, we have a Devonian sea model. You can see all of the different life spread throughout, from some of the corals here to brachiopods. We've got a coelacanth here, a little algae, even little trilobites. Big thing to notice with this is that there's a wealth of life around the coral reefs. We also have a few fossils. This is a cephalopod. Some trilobites, also life found here. This is all about 390 million years old. And there's just a few other things we have, like stromatolites, which date back to billions of years, and some models, and then also a handout as well, front and back. So yeah, I just wanted to get started and tell you about the importance of coral reefs, how important they are globally, not just aesthetically, but also they are a sustainable resource that many people use, about 500 million people around the world. You can see that the corals provide habitat for different animals. A lot of people use those as a resource and eat those, sustainable fisheries, stuff like that. Tourism, all kinds of wonderful things happening on reefs, such as medicinal properties. Something we like to try to conserve and manage for the habitat of about a quarter of life's biodiversity resides on coral reefs. So you can see on the handout here, just going through the geologic history of it, there have been several mass extinctions of marine life in particular. What we're going to talk about very briefly is what's kind of gone on there coral-wise. So this is a large chunk of calcite from the area. It's an isotope of calcium carbonate that is formed in really stable environmental conditions. And this is aragonite. It's also calcium carbonate, but it's carbonate, but it's not as stable. So the ancient corals primarily used the calcite in their skeletons, whereas modern day corals use aragonite in theirs. You can see on the back of your handout, there's a really nice table there kind of showing what the different environmental conditions and which one of these isotopes would have precipitated in the sea for the animals to grab to make their skeleton. So we'll talk about the primary corals here were the rugose and tabulate corals. They dominated the shallow marine environments for a very long time. When there was a mass extinction that just a lot of environmental changes, the precipitation of calcite was slowed down tremendously and it turned into aragonite. There is now molecular evidence that these scleractinian corals, which are modern day corals, were in the very deep sea at this time, whereas the rugose and tabulate were in the shallow water. When the rugose and tabulate went extinct, the scleractinian corals had the opportunity to fill that niche, which is like the ecological job, and they took over and they began an association with zooxanthellae, which is a tiny plant, dinoflagellate, that lives inside the coral. On this front page, there is an example of the zooxanthellae in the coral tissue there. What you can see is that the zooxanthellae need light to give the energy to the coral. They transform that light energy into food for the coral, and the waste products go back to the coral. It's a mutual symbiosis where both parties benefit. Because of the symbiosis, though, they think that was a really big thing for coral reefs to grow more rapidly and for the scleractinians to rise from the depths. As well, they are limited in their environmental conditions that they find suitable. So today what we are seeing is there's a lot of mass bleachings, and that is the expulsion of the zooxanthellae from the coral because of some kind of detrimental environmental condition. It's a very general stress response that corals have to bleach these zooxanthellae. It's termed bleaching because the these zooxanthellae provide a lot of the color to the coral, so you only see the white skeleton remaining. Bleaching is a major priority for a lot of management conservation efforts. There's a lot being done with life histories of corals, and the size of a coral really matters where it invests its energy. Smaller corals tend to invest in growth, whereas larger corals invest into reproduction. So when coral managers try to do restoration efforts, they generally do on the smaller set of corals until they get them to a good growth size. Several management options, and we're looking for future generations at this point. While corals have survived previous mass extinctions, they still need our help so that we can use them as a sustainable resource for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me here. Thank you.